5G requires the installation of new equipment across the U.S.
So this pole here is 5G. This is the future right here.
You got it.
Every wireless company is working to build its own 5G network. Melissa Arnoldi leads AT&T's efforts.
If you don't already have one of these in your neighborhood,
Yep.
they're coming.
That's absolutely right. They're coming.
She says 5G uses high-frequency waves that support faster speeds, but don't travel as far as current wireless frequencies. So instead of relying on large cell phone towers spread far apart, they need small cell sites that are much closer together.
We're going to use our existing infrastructure today, whether it's light poles, whether it's street lights. We're going to make sure that we don't make it obtrusive to our customers and to the...
You've tuned into Stranger Than Fiction News, broadcasting live from the dark side of the planet. Is this a cyborg or is this a human? They're going to put these things everywhere, ladies and gentlemen. They're coming, they say, to every neighborhood, to every, to every street. There is going to be no escaping the grid, no escaping the high frequency, deadly radiation. Look how close this is to somebody's bedroom, ladies and gentlemen. How would you like to sleep next to that? I mean, what would you pay for rent to live right next to that thing? You know what really freaked me out was like, what was it, like a year, 2 years ago? Richie from Boston was like, oh, they just put a 5G thing like right in front of my house. Look, that was like the first wave. They put him right on the list. This technology is not set to be commercialized until 2020. And these things are going up everywhere. What are they going to use them for until somebody actually can buy a 5G phone? Well, they're going to use all that bandwidth to target people like Richie from Boston, to target people like you and me. And what makes things worse is they're talking about like putting up tens of thousands of satellites that are just going to be beaming 5G everywhere. High frequency radiation. You've got these invisible streams of radiation that are going to be flying everywhere. It's not like the old cell phone towers that were like broadcasting like a beacon or like a lighthouse or something like that. I mean, these things are going to be like focusing beams of energy at people. And literally, you'd have to be, pretty crazy to go buy one of these devices. Who needs these things? And you should see, all the things that are going up right now. Look at the, the power supply. Look at the wiring. Look at how it's omnidirectional. It's everywhere. There's no escaping the electromagnetic smog, if you will. These things are going to be everywhere. And I think we've got some really interesting setups here that people are capturing, like this thing. We don't even know what all of this is. Maybe some people are going to clue us in. Probably part of like, the ambulance emergency network or something like that, where they can switch all the lights green as they go by. I'm not sure. I mean, some people are speculating cameras. Some people are speculating speed traps. Some people are speculating gunshot detectors, pre-crime. In any case, all of this data that they're collecting is going to be streamed into their fusion centers, streamed into their AI, into their Skynet, and it's going to be fed into, pre-crime types of programs that are going to be classifying and discriminating against people based on their political beliefs. Have no doubt about it. You can see how the mainstream media and everybody, basically, Antifa, anyone on TV, anyone on a microphone is calling conservatives and patriots racist. What do you think this technology is going to be used for? Check out the Patriot Act. Check out the Snowden files. Who do you think is going to be targeted by this technology? You're seeing, all these smart, grids, smart streets, smart cities, just fall into place here. And who's the main target? Who's the cattle grazing in the pasture waiting for the slaughterhouse? Moo cow. That's you and me. We're sitting here in this prison, and we're begging the system to build us a wall. Build us a wall so we can't escape. I'm having doubts about this wall, I'll be honest with you. It's a fence for the time being anyways, but as much as I want to keep the drugs and gangs out, you see what they're doing to the country, all the eugenics, you're seeing all of, what they're doing to the food supply, what they're doing, basically to everything. They're trashing the planet. They're gearing up to exterminate. you know, the FEMA camps are already there. I mean, this isn't our imagination. I'd love to be able to say, oh yeah, you know, we're just pulling your leg. We're just trying to, you know, have a good time here. No, literally, we've seen the commercials for the FEMA camps, how they're staffing people and training people, and how, you know, how everything is just, you know, set up, ready to go. And FEMA camps are one thing, but prisons, you know, and the like are already set up to be mass extermination camps. They're everywhere. Think of all these supermax prisons that are everywhere. Their HVAC systems are set up to gas everyone. And, you know, things are much further along than people think. This telecommunications grid isn't for the smartphones. It's for the Skynet and the drones and the robots that are coming, as well as to, you know, irradiate people as a bonus. But this isn't for our benefit. This telecommunications grid is part of, you know, the beast system. You know, I'm actually kind of surprised how far and wide this video that we did on death towers originally went. I mean, we're seeing mirrors of this everywhere, incorporated into all sorts of, you know, into all sorts of documentaries. And, you know, the technology here that we were talking about is pretty, you know, is pretty sound. And the math that we were talking about is pretty sound too. I mean, you look at a microwave oven, which is a, you know, a 2 kilowatt magnetron, you know, putting out microwaves. That's the damage that a 2 kilowatt magnetron will do. You know, 2,400 watts. And when you look at the power supply running up these death towers, you know, it's in the magnitude of megawatts, millions of watts. So we're like, we've scaled up from thousands of watts to millions of watts. And they're going to be like, oh yeah, no, we need these things everywhere. You know, the original CDMA 3G towers, you know, had a range of about 200 miles. You know, the original cell phones, about 200 miles, 150 miles, something like that. Rather enormous. You don't need them, you know, every other block. You don't need them every other block. You don't need 100 per city, especially not on the power supply they're running. These things are, you know, are literally, you know, death on a stick, and they're putting them up everywhere. And again, look how close this is to residences and the like. And we've got death towers like near daycares, near schools. There's reports of death towers, you know, on school property, hidden, you know, basically as like, you know, as the cafeteria. Might as well be. And then they're loading up the schools with, you know, Wi-Fi, and the kids are on the tablets all day long. And this is a recipe for disaster on a million different levels, not just the physiological level. I mean, everybody's worried about cancer and the like, but there's also other things that magnetic waves kind of influence. And there's a whole field of study called magnetically assisted transfection, which is the ability for toxins and virulence and viruses and the like to penetrate a cell membrane with the assistance of a magnetic field. And basically people become more sensitive to toxins and viruses as you know, the levels of magnetic fields go up, as well as the suspicion that these magnetic fields actually increase the rate of aging and cellular growth. And we know this because they're inventing all sorts of devices to assist, you know, after surgery, to assist regenerative growth. And they're little devices that they put on the person that basically puts out a little magnetic field. So magnetic fields are known to induce growth, to speed aging, if you will. And, you know, when you look at a lot of people these days, I mean, sometimes you're seeing like 19-year-olds that look like they're 40. Everybody looks about 10 years older than they should. And this is part of the program, right? It's, you know, it's like a ticking time bomb. And they're just putting more and more and more of this stuff up out there just because it's, you know, it's a silent weapon. Nobody's going to go back to these cell phone companies and these cell towers and go, look how you're slow killing everybody. You know, they're not there yet. They're still talking about the Russians as a cover-up story for the Podesta emails. They're not anywhere close to telling you the truth about anything. And you think about all these smart meters and everything else that's going up. It's just, you know, it's just amazing. And you could just go on and on. And this is just one aspect of the eugenics program. I mean, you can pretty much see the chemtrails, some chemtrails in the sky, definitely some chemtrail haze. You know, the sky isn't blue anymore, it's like powdery white. There's so many particulates just drifting in the upper atmosphere. I'm just amazed. I mean, look at that thing. You know, look at this monster death tower, like right next to somebody's house. And these things are going up everywhere. You saw that initial report. It's shocking. The plans, you know, they're just going to roll them out everywhere. You're going to see them everywhere. People are going to be paranoid like you can't even believe. And with good reason. I mean, these things are toxic. And, you know, if a cell phone, which is about a 5-watt device, now think about it this way. If a cell phone is about a 5-watt device, you know, and you put that next to your head, after 15 years it causes cancer. Imagine like these things everywhere. These things are running at, you know, megawatts of power. Each one of those rectennas are supposedly 400 watts, but, you know, they're running more than that. But, you know, I've seen some of the inventory and telecommunications, you know, websites, and they say they're 400-watt rectennas, man. These things look bigger than that. You know, they got amplifiers and the like, you know, sitting right next to them. And, you know, it's just amazing to think that, you know, they're putting up megawatt devices, towers everywhere. When a 5-watt cell phone will cause cancer. And, you know, there's another thing, too, is like, as long as they've been running this type of technology, whether it be, you know, radio towers or television broadcast towers and the like, there's always been cancer clusters, like, right next to these things. This isn't, you know, this isn't yesterday's science. I mean, this is something that's well known for years, but the industry fights back and buries the evidence and says, oh no, they're all safe, you know. And you got like spokeswomen like this, like Miss America, that come on and they're like, oh yeah, you know, this is awesome. I mean, this is what you need to download more photos, you know, in real time and stuff like that. And you know what's even better is they're selling this not only as you know, bandwidth, but as a way to replace like actual human-to-human contact. We should almost play like, you know, this part before, but they got people like running around in their VR gear, and they're like, oh, there's no need to talk to people anymore with 5G. Oh, there he was. You know, everybody's got this weird, you know, crazy, freaky 5G, you know, goggles on, and now they're like, you no longer need to go to work. You no longer need, you know, to attend meetings. You don't have to go anywhere. You can just sit there with your 5G goggles and talk to people. And it's like Facebook on steroids. And it's like, you know, they just want to kill off like humanity, like, you know, little by little. Take away the human interactions. Don't leave your house. You know, send out your avatar. It'll be like the movie Avatar. And soon they'll just, you know, scoop out your brain and then just put it in like a, you know, in a sex robot, and you'll just be running around out there like a, you know, like a villain. And, you know, this is part of the anti-Christian agenda, which is to transform everything that is, you know, natural and created into something synthetic and artificial. And, you know, they're contaminating everything they can with quote-unquote innovation. You know, GMO foods, and it's just, you know, running wild. And then they got all of this other, you know, GMO you know, animals running around out there with, you know, on overdrive, where their genes basically dominate all the other genes in the wild. And it's just, you know, the whole world is going to, you know, is going to hell, basically. It's looking more and more like hell on earth, less and less like creation. And, you know, just wait for the rest of it. You know what I mean? It's a perversion of reality. It's becoming the mirror image of what the world was. I mean, compare the world, you know, in the 1950s to what it's become now. You got men looking like women, women looking like men. You got all the minorities, you know, screaming after white people like they're racist and stuff like that. It's like, whoa, whatever happened to affirmative action? You know, whatever happened to, you know, being, you know, cool with everybody? But no, now it's like we're all racist and they're out to get us, like the lynch mob. Pardon my language. And, you know, they want to flood the country with people from anywhere but here, to dilute our values, to destroy our way of life, and to replace it with some sort of Sodom and Gomorrah, New Babylon, you know, foreign invasion. I mean, I don't mean to be, you know, all like simple-minded like that, but I mean, look, you know, America was founded by Americans, not by Mexicans and, you know, people from the Middle East and stuff like that. So, you know, there's something to be said about culture and heritage and preserving our way of life. You've seen the rest of the world, right? It does look like a, you know, like what it does. And, you know, when you import the third world into your country, I mean, it's just, you know, simple math. You know, the averages start going down. All of a sudden, you know, you start looking like, you know, looking like them. I don't know. Maybe that's just, you know, simple mindedness. Or maybe it's something else, ladies and gentlemen. Maybe it's actually visiting the world and seeing it for what it is. But I'll tell you what, we're not the, you know, we're not nearly as beautiful as we used to be, morally speaking. I mean, we've covered what, you know, is going on in Hollywood and the influences of California and the like. What kind of tower is that? Mind control tower. In any case, I mean, you know, we're exporting the Sodom and Gomorrah and, you know, the perversions everywhere. And, you know, it's pretty much our Skynet that's going to doom the world. You know, we've become a threat to humanity, and we're the last line of defense. You know, we've been invaded by the dark side. Enemies are foreign and domestic, and there's plenty of enemies within our shores, you know, to contend with, especially these socialists and the Antifa and the like. Man, sounding real simple-minded, but, you know, we're just going to keep it simple for this broadcast. You know, check out our previous broadcast for more on, you know, on spiritual warfare and, you know, what we're truly up against. I mean, again, these death towers, this eugenics program, it's, you know, it's about the struggle of good versus evil, and evil wants to exterminate humanity in general. It's not, you know, it's not geoengineering that we're seeing out there. It's terraforming. This isn't innovation. This is eugenics. They're not, you know, these Nazis, if you follow the Nazi gold, you know, 9/11, all that stuff, these Nazis, you know, aren't planning to bring you to the gas chamber. They're planning to bring the gas chamber to you in all sorts of different ways. Better wake up and smell the tyranny. You know, it's the water, it's the food, it's the airwaves, you know what I mean? It's everything. And they're just, you know, turning up the heat little by little, like, you know, like a boiling frogs kind of scenario, in all the different ways possible, tweaking it so that they just shave off, you know, year after year off of everybody. And, you know, this is just to weaken everybody down, slow everybody down, and keep everybody distracted and busy until, you know, the final solution rolls out. And you know, there's method to this madness. We better wake up and smell the tyranny, ladies and gentlemen. We'll leave it there for this broadcast. Check us out at patreon.com/STF News. We do additional broadcasts there, and the new season is about to begin. And so we'll be busy over there, as well as everywhere else. Should be a fun time. Check you out next time, ladies and gentlemen. Until then, if you're listening to this, you are the resistance.